Hello, hello. Welcome to the Fast Five, the online series dedicated to answering your health and well-being questions fast. I am your host, Eric Ballard, and today I'm my own guest because I am answering your questions about health. Now, before we get started, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and do it by clicking the subscribe and the like button below. And now with that, let's get into these questions because I think they're really great because they came from you. Also, I will warn you though, they're a bit of a hodgepodge because I took in the questions that were sent to me. So I'm excited about it though, because I think when we think about health, our head is all over the place. And that's kind of what these questions look like. So it's going to be good as it's going to allow us to answer a lot of the questions that are probably on your mind that now you will have answers to. So they don't have to be stuck and lodged in here. So question 1, does intermittent fasting work for women? I love this question because fasting is so hot right now. Like, so hot. And there's a reason for it, right? Fasting is so great for your body. It helps with insulin regulation. It helps increase your human growth hormone. It helps with bone density, muscle improvement, all of these things. We love fasting. Our bodies love fasting because what fasting does is it provides that variability that we need through acute stress to make our body work in a specific way or work in a way that it has to think harder about what it's doing. So this idea of fasting throughout the week is a really wonderful thing. But what has typically happened, or what I see typically happen, is once someone fasts, they fast forever. There is no variety. It's just like, I'm a fast. I'm a fast. And that is actually not the best thing for women. So the question of, is intermittent fasting good for women? The answer is it depends. It depends on how often you do it. So doing it every single day is not of the best benefit, particularly for women. They're finding if women have hormonal issues, which most women do, if they have troubles with stress, which most women do, stress is not ideal because it's adding additional stress to the body, which will compound, which will then make fasting, or it will negate the benefits of fasting and won't deliver the results that you want. And also from a hormonal level, if your hormones aren't right, from thyroid to estrogen to progesterone to all of that, it really, to use a technical term, fucks with, right, the way that these hormones communicate to one another. So fasting every single day is unnecessary and not is unnecessary, period. But it's particularly unnecessary for women, and it ends up being pretty detrimental, particularly if you have issues with hormones, thyroid, or stress for women. So what I typically recommend to my clients is, if you're going to do a 14, 16-hour fast, and that's, I guess I should say, that's what I mean when we talk about fasting, something that's a 14, 16, 20, 24-hour fast, right? If we're going to do something like that, I recommend a few times a week versus every single day, because fasting is a beautiful, wonderful thing, but it's very beneficial if the if your body is almost, it doesn't have to be 100%, but like working correctly in many facets. The exception to that, and this is me getting a little bit of tangent, the exception to that is if we have insulin issues. If we have insulin issues, it can be really, really, really beneficial to do fasting more regularly. However, you want to make sure that you don't have a thyroid issue, and you got to make sure that fasting doesn't complicate any of the medications you're taking. And that's why the answer to is fasting beneficial to women? The answer is it depends, because we are all unique. We are all dealing with unique things in our life, and it's helpful to try these things out instead of using them as law of what is truth. All right, moving on to question 2. Question 2, I love this question. Why can't I lose weight if I'm eating healthy? There's like 16,000 reasons for that. I think there is so many reasons, but the two that are popping up is, one, you're not eating healthy for your body. So if you feel like you're eating healthy, but you're not getting the results you want, it's because you're probably not eating healthy for your body. We've all become accustomed to eating these 1,200 to 1,500 calorie diets, and really focusing on calories. And we've been so scared of fat and all of these things that what is truly healthy has been skewed. And so what you maybe believe is healthy may not be what's healthy for your body. Also, if you are eating truly, truly healthy, right? You're eating paleo, you're eating a keto-like diet or something of that nature, and you're still not dropping weight, it usually means that that diet's not right for your unique body. So the thing that you're doing is not ideal for the situation you're in. But again, we become so accustomed to health being just like meal plans and workouts, when health is really looking at your overall system and how it's functioning. And until we start to understand that we are really the unique snowflowers that we think we are, it's going to be hard to get the results you want, because you get so fixated on this is what's right versus what is right for me. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we're not actually prioritizing our health. And what I guess I mean by that is, like, well, I'm eating pretty healthy. Like, I'm eating healthy like 60-70% of the time. That's not enough. Like, that is not eating healthy. That might be healthier than you were, which is awesome. But being 60-70% compliant is like a C or a D, right, in healthy eating. And so making sure that you are prioritizing really putting those healthy nutrients into your body versus believing that what you're doing is enough when it really might not be. But those are the things those are the two that pop up. There's also 1,000 other reasons too. And so if you are curious what those other reasons are, or you want someone like, and you don't know how to find it on your own, or you feel really frustrated or stuck, like, reach out. Reach out. I'm doing one-time consultations now where I will literally run through what you're eating, what's going on in your life, to see what is really getting in your way, because it can be challenging, right, to figure that stuff out. So that all being said, usually it's you're not eating healthy for your body, even though you might be eating healthy according to your mind, or to society. And the second thing is you're not truly prioritizing. You think you are, but you're not where you need to be. All right. Third question. This one's good. What pregnancy nutrition advice do you have? Well, because I'm pregnant, right? I should have some advice on how to eat healthy while pregnant. And I think I do. I've learned a lot. And the reality is, what I have found is I've had to unlearn everything that I have done for my body previously to eat healthy for pregnancy. Because yes, we want to eat nutrient dense food. Yes, we want to eat whole, real foods. But I would be lying if I said carbohydrates were not a huge part of my diet, because my body needs so much energy and so much quick energy. Because particularly in the beginning, well, actually throughout all of pregnancy, your body is just rapidly rapidly changing, and it needs information, it needs energy, it needs that stuff to multiply truly like 10,000 times in like a day, right? It's wild how fast your body creates it. So when you're thinking about eating, you want to make sure, the ideal is eating nutrient dense foods and minimally processed carbohydrates and whole grains to make sure your body has the energy it needs to essentially create life, not essentially, to create life. And the other big piece that I have learned is making sure that you're eating in 2, maybe 3, depending on but usually about 2-hour increments, to make sure that you're getting all that energy in, that your body needs. But also it allows you to eat smaller meals, which can reduce the amount of acid reflux that tends to happen when you're pregnant. Now, the caveat to all of this is you do that if you can. If I have learned anything in this freaking journey of pregnancy, it's that in a perfect world, you're eating salads with quinoa and beautifully cooked chicken, or free range chicken and grass fed beef, or this organic beautiful tofu. But I'll tell you what, I wanted none of that shit. None of that shit the first 10, 12 weeks of my pregnancy. I just didn't. I wanted tater tots. I wanted potatoes. And to this day, I still just want sandwiches, and potatoes. That is the majority of what I want to eat. I'm sneaking in greens. I'm getting them in. But those first 10 to 12 weeks, I was just trying to stay alive. And all my body wanted was toast, potatoes, and cereal. And so I ate toast, potatoes, and cereal. And initially I felt bad. And then I had to remember I'm creating life. This is what feels the best in my system right now. I'm going to do it. And the same grace that you give to yourself, when we talk about getting healthy and moving into loving and prioritizing yourself, you got to give to yourself during pregnancy because like yesterday I wanted a bagel with cream cheese and jelly, and I have never wanted that. I have never wanted that in my entire life, but it's what I wanted. And I gave it to myself because it's not possible. It's not possible to eat clean and do all the things that some people really are able to do on their pregnancy. And if you can, that's great. Definitely do that. Eat all the vegetables, eat all the clean proteins, eat all the healthy fats, eat all the minimally processed carbohydrates. But if you can't, okay, welcome to the freaking club. I can't even tell you how many DMs, which made me feel so much better, by the way. DMs I got about like, oh man, girl, I was eating mashed potatoes and gravies from KFC. I was shoving bread into my mouth. I was eating bagels and cream cheese crying. And all of these are some of the these are DMs from some of the healthiest people I have ever met in my life. So your pregnancy is going to be unique to you. Do your best. Really do get in carbohydrates every couple hours, fruit, sandwiches, whatever, and get through it, girls. Like, ladies, get through it because advice is great until you're in it. And then you got to listen to your body and you got to do what it needs because it calling for those things is because it needs it. And you just really shouldn't deny it. So hopefully that's some decent advice and allows you to have a lot of grace through your pregnancy. All right. Fourth question. I forgot this one was in here. Fourth question is there a way to speed up pooping in the morning? I mean, I feel like this is a really important question because I've had clients who didn't poop for like 3-4 days in a row. And it's the fucking worst because we've all been there. It's terrible. So the thing about making sure that you have a bowel movement in the morning is that you've got to understand that what's coming out of you is about 3 days old, right? So it takes some time for your body to move things out of your system, assuming that your body is somewhat healthy. Like diarrhea is a whole different thing, right? But it takes your body about 3 days to get that stuff out of your system. So you've got to really be paying attention and regularly paying attention to what you eat because the best way to be able to start going regularly and in the morning is making sure that we're eating healthy fibrous foods. I'm looking at you, kale. I'm looking at you, carrots. I'm looking at you, spinach, fruit, those type of things in our body. More vegetables than fruit though, please. Those things in the body is going to actually help you really move things out of it regularly. So one, to speed it up is really cleaning up that diet, really making sure that you have the fiber in it because the fiber and the water that you take in is what's going to be able to move those things through your system. And every single time I say things like this, it's like, oh, isn't there immediate? Well, I'm telling you the best way, period, because the immediate stuff that I will give you, and I will tell you some, is also not going to be as helpful unless your diet is where you need it to be. So that's the first thing, right? Is understanding that what's coming out of you is about 3 days old, and also recognizing that that your body gets prepped to empty itself between 3 p.m. and 3 a.m. So it is and should be pretty normal for you to use the restroom in the morning. But if you're getting disrupted sleep, if you're not falling asleep, if you're having issues there, that disruption is going to cause disruption in your bowel movement. So you got to really be making sure that not only is your food good, right, but making sure that your sleep is where you want it to be. Because if both of those things are happening, you shouldn't have trouble with a bowel movement in the morning. It should be really taken care of within the first couple hours. Now, to speed it up, if like all those things are going well and you're like, still not quite where it needs to be, usually that's a gut issue. So addressing that is really important. And you can do that by taking probiotics and things of that nature. But here is not a doctor, but here's a couple things that can be really, really helpful to speed it up if like things are really in order. And first is taking magnesium at night, magnesium citrate or oxidate. I'm going to double check. It's going to be somewhere here. I'm going to double check that to make sure that's what that one's called. Oxalate. Though those two are going to help. There are there's tons of magnesiums. These ones help move things through your system. And magnesium is also a really beautiful supplement for all of us to take anyways, because 90% of Americans are completely deficient in it. And even if you eat super clean, just the way that our soil is made, you're probably not going to get enough magnesium. So taking magnesium at night can help speed it up in the morning, because just that supplement creates and helps with biochemical reactions and moves things through your system to get it out if there's any stagnation. The other thing is to drink coffee or something bitter in the morning. So when our body takes in a bitter flavor, it like rapid fires digestion, because bitter usually means toxic to our body. It's not, but it's a signal that it puts on for our body. So our digestion turns so fast, which is why so many of us have coffee in the morning and have to use the restroom, because that bitter flavor actually speeds up what's going on in your gut to get things out of it. So those are your two rapid fire, is magnesium at night and coffee in the morning, or something bitter if you have bitter teas, dandelion root, anything like that. But really, if you want regular consistency, fibrous foods, making sure you have those things in your body regularly, and lots of water will allow for you to poop early in the morning. Okay, so feel like we've talked enough about bowels, which leads me to my last question, or the last question that I ask everyone, and I'm gonna ask myself it too, because I'm my own guest. And it's if there's one thing you hope people took away from this conversation, what would it be? And that's actually a harder question than I expected it to be, because I'm like, this, and this. But what I do hope people really take away, and I think what I do hope people really take away, is that our bodies are pretty complicated. The solutions for it are fairly simple, but you have to figure out the solutions for you. And so many of us were looking for these cookie cutter plans, and we're looking for these like quick fire shots in order to make it happen. But, a lot of us, we've been destroying our body for years, decades even. I'm just calling it. And so to think that these plans or the work that you're going to do over a 2-week period is going to change everything is, quite frankly, silly. And so making sure that you get that, like, there's going to be some steps along the way, and there's going to be certain things that you need to know, and there's certain things that you have to discover, and there's certain things you have to experiment on, because our bodies are always compensating for the pain we put it through. And so when we solve one thing, we've still got to solve another thing to solve another thing to get to the root of what our actual issue is. And like with the bowels, right? Is it the gut? Is it magnesium? Is it's the fibers, the water, what's going on there? Like recognizing it's going to take a little bit of time to find the right diet, the right solutions, the right protocols for you. I think it's just a super important thing to know, because we want A plus B equals C, but it doesn't, particularly if you have not taken care of this thing the way you should have been taking care of it for decades, years or decades. So my hope is that that's what you take away from this. I know there's a lot of healthy, nerdy advice here, but when I think about health, I think about it in the body, which is what we talked primarily about today, but mind and soul component of it too. And so trusting yourself to make some of these decisions and to understand this and to believe what I've just said to be true is also a big piece. So work on that as well. And I think that that's all I have for us today. So those are the 5 questions for the Fast 5. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel. Yep, that's the word, this channel. And if you have any questions that you want me to answer, drop them below in the comments, or you can shoot me a message, whatever's best for you. And with that, I hope you all have an awesome, awesome, awesome day. And I will see you next week on Wednesday with a new guest to talk about food and relationships. All right. Bye for now, everybody.